All right, Mr. Cassover, you are the presenter.
Okay.
All right, well, it's going to be 9:02 here in just a minute. We'll go ahead and get started. My dad always said if you don't start the party on time, people will not know that they are late. So, again, welcome everybody. Mike Anderson here from AIM and our Connected Agent program, along with Aaron Cassover, Travis McQueen, Wes Lefebvre from our Connected Agent team. As always, we've got a lot of good stuff for you here, including some good news on what we lovingly refer to as spammy leads. And so with that, we're set to roll. Here we are recording, so I'm going to hand this over to Aaron and allow him to get us rolling. Take it away, Aaron.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Let's see if I can get the presentation to work. Next slide. There we go. Okay. Today's agenda, just a few things to go over. As always, we're going to start by checking in on a couple updates and seeing kind of what's happening in the stuff we've been talking about. Talk about the blog posts, update on the spammy leads, and see about last month's topic, which was relaunching your website. So first up, let's talk about the blog posts. And as you all know, we are posting twice a month to all of our blogs. And if you haven't been checking in on that, I thought I would just really quickly just jump over to my demo blog and show you the most recent posts. So I'm going to just pull up my web browser here. As you know, my demo site, WeInsureSeattle.com, is just what I use to show off the program, but it's very similar to all of your sites, including the blog content. And so on the blog content, a couple new ones, thinking about critical care insurance. And this is a good article, obviously, about critical care. It's a nice, kind of similar in some ways to long-term care, but it's also a critical illness plan. A good article on steps to loving exercise, which is, our idea of giving you content on your blog that is just kind of more lifestyle, educational, fun to share. And so we always recommend that you take articles like this, like the Steps to Loving Exercise, and sharing it out to everybody you know. So putting it on your social media, your Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn pages, and also emailing it off to people in your list. So I'll tell you a quick kind of personal story about those emails that go out. Some of you might know that I am a father of twin toddlers. I have 2-year-old twins, and my wife and I both work full-time, which means keeping our house in order is a bit of a struggle. And so we were talking about biting the bullet and hiring somebody to help us clean the house. And my wife had used somebody to do a move-out clean a couple of years ago, and she got an email from that company just mentioning that they had been interviewed on a local news channel about the minimum wage here in Washington State and the debate there. And not at all selling their services, but she got an email just about their appearance on this news, and it happened at the right time because we were already thinking about doing this. And she got that email, forwarded it to me, and said, give them a call. And so I then called this company, and we hired them to start cleaning our house. Now, simple story, but the point here is that they didn't email her about their services or kind of what they had to offer. They emailed just kind of unrelated, and it was just enough to jog her memory about that company, and they got the business for us. And we see the exact same thing will happen here, where if you take the Steps to Loving Exercise blog post and you share it out to people in your network, that could be just all it takes to tip them toward remembering to call you, that they might be thinking about talking to you about an insurance policy, and they just keep forgetting. And so if you can get in front of them for any reason, this will start to drum up some business. So that's the blog. Take a look at it. Think about how you can just get these articles out. We post them twice a month, so make sure you come back and check them regularly to see what's new. But there are these two, thinking about critical care and steps will exercise, and you'll keep seeing more appear again twice a month. So the blog. Second thing is spammy leads, and thank you all for bearing with us as we've been working to reduce the spammy or junk leads coming through your websites. It is kind of one of the sort of costs of doing business on the internet, that there are people out there who just want to use the web as a way to spam whatever they're trying to push, and they automate it so that they just go to every website on the planet and submit their junk. We've been taking quite a few steps to reduce the spammy leads coming through. I think that we've come very close to getting the problem solved. We did have a little bit of a snag earlier this week where we had some problems with filtering, and so on Monday we pulled it off for a couple hours. So you might have seen last week spam got a lot better, a little peak on Monday where it came back, and then it should be stopped again as of yesterday. We will keep monitoring it, and if you do see any kind of junk email or spam email come through your website, anything that looks suspicious, if you're not sure about it, or if you just kind of get it, can you forward it to us? Because the more of these that we see, if we know they're still coming through, if we see them, we're able to get it to our engineering where we can look at ways to stop it. And so hopefully the problem's solved, but if it's not, if you get more through, let us know. Okay, the third thing is relaunching your website. We talked about this last month. We gave you a bunch of tools to launch or relaunch your website, press releases, emails to send out, a bunch of resources that were all posted to the LinkedIn group, so you can go and grab them. And I thought it'd be good just to kind of check in to see who has had a chance to do this. If you have gone and looked at those resources, if you have sent out a press release or sent out a launch email, if you've done any of this, followed any of our instructions from the last users group, could you click in the Go To Webinar Control Panel, just raise your hand? Let's just get a show of hands of people who have taken some kind of action based on what we talked about last month. I'll give you a few seconds for the hands to hopefully come up in a thunderstorm. Mike, do you see hands raising?
Yes.
Yes, great.
Ron Lewis is there. Go ahead, and I'm going to unmute Ron. And then while the rest are stretching and getting their hands raised, he can share a little bit with us about what he did and what he saw. So go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can. Thank you, Ron.
Yes.
Okay. Well, to be honest with you, I did it, but I just did it a couple days ago because I've been pretty busy. But I just sent out an email to everybody. What I did is the new 2014 Guide to Health Insurance for Medicare came out, and I have the PDF version, and I sent it out to everybody on my client list, to provide a service for them, to give them the most updated version. And in that email, I also announced, that I have a new website, and asked for feedback on it. I mean, if people wanted to comment on it. And I also have I just started doing a WordPress blog as well. So I put kind of a link on there for that as well as the website. So I did only do this just a few days ago, so I've only had a couple of comments more from family members, but that's what I've done. Okay,
that's great. When this stuff gets out there, it is a matter of being at the right time at the right place, but it's an opportunity for you to like my story with House Cleaner, just to get your name in front of people and kind of jog their thinking. So hopefully that will bring some. I thought the idea of sending them that PDF is just, I was trying not to make it look like I'm just trying to sell stuff, that I'm just trying to keep them in mind that I'm still, trying to provide a service to them, and just, if nothing else, just giving them that latest documentation. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And maybe we'll check in again to see if you get more results in a month or so. Any other hands?
Yeah, Mary Justice has her hand up. However, Mary has not entered in the 2-digit audio PIN code, so I can't unmute her so that she can share with us. So we're going to wait a second here and see if I get a notation that she unmuted. Two-digit PIN code, Mary. Well, she's waving. The hand is waving electronically in a very vigorous fashion, but I'm not seeing the. Let's see if I can send the pin to her. Okay, I just sent the audio pin over there. Hopefully, you can get that, Mary, and get that keyed in, because we certainly want to hear what you've got to say.
So for the rest of you that haven't had a chance to do this, go to the LinkedIn group, the Connection Agent group on LinkedIn, and you'll find all the materials we talked about last month are there. And there's a few things. We tried to make it really easy so you can just cut and paste and take what we've already done and use it as a way to relaunch your blog. Relaunch your website, and do that. It's not going to take you very long, and the amount of cost that it will cost you is just about zero. But the benefit is it could produce anything from a couple leads to a good conversation to some new prospects or some sales. And so it's worth the investment.
Mary actually sent over a note saying that she sent out an email announcing the website and also some information about the tax advantages of long-term care. And so I shot her a note back since we're doing this electronically, asking what the response was, and I'm sure we'll have an answer back here. And now I see that she did get herself unmuted, so we're just going to go ahead and put Mary in the spotlight. So Mary, tell us, what was the response for what you did?
Okay. Nobody got in touch with me directly, but I'm trying to remember now. I've had conversations because I often have to call my clients regarding certain things, and I'll say, oh, by the way, did you get my email about making sure your CPA knows about the tax advantages of LTC? And they said, oh, yeah, thank you very much. And then they've, said they went to my website, they liked my website, etc. So that's how the conversation went, and that was the feedback I got. So it was a really timely article on, it was a few months ago, but I kept it, and that's what I used, and I put it into LinkedIn, so I sent it to that market as well. Mm-hmm. So it was good, and if you can put up more articles on my blog that I think might, be valid and relevant to my clients, I'd appreciate it. That was a good one.
Okay. Are you talking about this article here? Don't overlook the tax advantage of long-term care?
Right. That was it.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that was very good. And many CPAs do not know about the tax advantage of a long-term care plan and how you can use the premiums. Anyway, it was good. Thank you.
That's a great approach because it's a leveraged approach. If you can develop or strengthen relationships with CPAs, mm-hmm. it could open up a whole world of new prospects for you.
Right.
You can get referrals from a lot of people.
So that's where that worked on LinkedIn, because I do have a number of relationships with CPAs. They are on LinkedIn and financial planners. So I shot that, through that LinkedIn connection.
Very cool.
How long did it take you to put that together and get it out?
Seconds.
Mary. Seconds? Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. The moral of that story should be fairly obvious, but in case it isn't, you've made a commitment to your business, but you have to continue to provide some things out there to help this thing move and grow. And the types of things that you've heard Ron and Mary talk about are those kinds of things. And I'm sure Ron would say the same thing, that it probably took him less than a couple minutes to put together what it was that he sent out, and you fire it out and you let it do what it's going to do for the next couple, 3 weeks, and then you set aside some time and you do another one. And it's part of an ongoing process to make the websites do more for you, but you got to do a little bit to continue to get that growth process going. So, Mary, thank you for that information. We greatly appreciate your willingness to share. I don't have anybody else holding a hand up. We're sort of being underwhelmed in that area, so I guess it's time to go ahead and move on to the next piece, Aaron.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you both. So the next one we're going to talk about is Google Analytics. And I'll tell you what Google Analytics is, and I'll do a quick kind of demo, show you some of the things you can do with it, and then we can talk about how you put it in place. So Google Analytics is a free tool that our friends at Google put out that lets you keep track of what's going on with your website. And they have a really nice way to see how many people are coming to your site, how many of them are new, how many of them are repeat, and what they're doing on your site. So what pages they're looking at, how long they're staying, how much time they're spending, what process they go through your site, what the order of their exploration is. And then you can also see how they got there. So what brought them to your site. And there's a lot more than that. You can see if they came on a mobile device or if they came on a desktop, what browser they used, what type of computer. You can narrow down to geography so you can see what city they came from and a lot more. And I think back to the saying, what gets measured gets managed. And this is a nice way for you to measure what's going on. And when you start to measure things, you'll start to see that you just naturally work to improve them, to manage them. So let's just go back over to my web browser again. And I'm logged in to Google Analytics. And I know it's kind of an overwhelming screen when you first see it. But as you get used to it, it becomes a little easier to kind of scan and understand. We're looking right now. This is just the analytics for my demo site, WeInsureSeattle.com. It's a demo site. This is not something I'm out kind of actively using to sell, so it's going to look a little different for you. I think probably most of the traffic to this site are members of the program as opposed to the general public. But it kind of gives you an idea. When you log in, the first thing that you're going to see is this audience overview. And this tells me, this graph here, kind of across the screen, this is the number of visits per day to my site. Going back, I went back to December 1st, so we're looking back a couple months. And so you can see at a few days here where there are a handful of people, a lot of days where there's none. But it kind of gives you a sense of the overall amount of traffic. I can also view it by week or by month. I want to see like a trend. Is the traffic increasing? Well, it's not in my case. And that's something I might want to work on. So you can see just raw numbers, how many people are coming to your site. You can also drill it down, so if you want to look at locations, we can say specific locations. They show you a nice map, starting with the world. For some reason, these are probably our spammers coming in from Russia. But the United States, the bulk of my visitors are there. I can even drill down and see which state they're coming from. And so this is a really nice way. If you're targeting a couple states, you can see which ones you're getting the best response from. If you saw in one state, you can exclude states where you're not licensed because maybe you don't care about people in South Carolina for some reason. They're not your target or you're not licensed there. So that's a nice kind of analysis of who's coming to your site. Again, there's a lot more you can see about them, like if they're coming on a mobile device. We'll take a look at that. So I do have a couple mobile users and a tablet user. You're probably going to see your numbers are a little different because your site isn't a demo site, it's a real live site. And then the other thing that's really interesting is you can see how people got to your site, and this is what they call acquisition. So if I go to the acquisition overview, it will show me just in broad strokes how people came. So direct means they just typed in WeInsureSeattle.com and came straight to the site. So that's the majority of my visitors. Referral is people who clicked through a link somewhere. They found a link and clicked through. Organic search is people who came in through a search engine. And then email is somebody who clicked through an email. And so like we'll look at referrals, and you'll see the actual pages that brought people through. So in this case, it's our dashboard. It's probably me. That's the email tool, so it's through a webmail. So you might see LinkedIn, if you have partnerships, if you've followed our instructions to create that local resources page and you've swapped links with other people, you might see their sites so you can kind of get a sense of which ones are bringing you the most traffic. But you'll see which other sites are linking to you that's bringing traffic. The search engine, excuse me, organic search is kind of neat because it will show you, in some cases, the actual phrase people are searching for. A lot of what you'll see is not provided, and that's just because Google doesn't generally give data on the searching that was done. But in some cases, you'll see actual specific phrases. So somebody searched for Medigap Insurance Seattle and got to my site, which is kind of cool. That tells me, okay, my site is getting found for this, and people are coming to my site looking for this, which can give me some detail about maybe I need to improve my Medigap content, or maybe I need to add something on my homepage about Medigap, because people are coming to me looking for that information. It also let me sort of say, okay, am I being found in search engines for this? And so I use this phrase. If I go to Google and just search for Medigap Insurance Seattle, I can see where my site's ranking. And so I do the search, and I sort of look down who's showing up here, look for my site. It's not on the first page. I go to the second page, and there it is on the second page, WeInsureSeattle.com, which is kind of neat because I haven't really done any work to optimize for this phrase, and yet it's appearing on the second page for this. And so that might tell me that, you know what, there are people searching for this, and maybe I should use the data I'm finding here to work a little bit on my search engine optimization around this phrase, because if I got one visitor from being on page 2, I might be able to get a lot more from being on page 1, so I can kind of move up the rankings there. So that's kind of a neat thing that you can see with the acquisition. The other is when you go to behavior, you can see what they did on your site. So you can look at things like a behavior flow, which will show you how people move through your site. So they start on the home page, and then they went from there to the blog or life insurance or my Meet Now. And then when they go to the blog, you can see which blog posts they went to. So they went to a series of different blog posts. It kind of gives you a way to look at how people travel through your site. And then you can also just drill down and look at all pages of your site to see which pages are getting the most views overall. Of course, the home page is always going to be the top, or pretty much always going to be. But then I can see that life insurance is getting a lot of traffic on my site, more than long-term care, which could be interesting if you're trying to market one product or the other. If you're doing campaigns around one or the other, you can see if those pages are getting more traffic over time. And I can even click on like this life insurance page, and I'll see a graph of traffic to this page over time, so I can see if it's increasing or decreasing, if my efforts to drive traffic to my life insurance section are working or not. So you can see there's a lot there. It's something that will give you a lot of data, and I recommend that you install it, and then once you start getting it running, just to come in here regularly, maybe once a month, and look to see what's going on with your website. You might be surprised. You might think that nobody's going there and find out that people actually are. Or vice versa. You might be doing a lot of work and start to see what's working and what's not, so that you can fine-tune your efforts. So Google Analytics, it's a really cool tool. It's free, and it gives you all the kind of the dashboard you need to see what's happening with your site. So to get it installed, a couple steps. You sign up at google.com/analytics, and you'll go in there and you'll just register for an account. They'll walk you through the process. They make it really easy. They then give you a little snippet of code that you need to copy and paste. And so you'll take that code and you'll copy it, and you'll go into your Connected Agent control panel, and on the site settings page, you'll see a section for page footer code, and you paste that code there, save the change, and that will automatically put it on every page on your site so that it starts to track with Google Analytics. It takes a few days for data to really start showing up, so set it up, and then you can just sort of put it in the back burner for a while and come back in a couple days or a couple weeks, and you'll start to see data rolling in about who's coming to your site, what's going on, what they're doing, and how they got there. So if you don't have it installed, please take a few minutes to do so. Now, we talked with Brian Bruce last month. Is he on the call right now?
He is on the call, but he just unmuted himself. Wow, perfect timing. All right,
Okay.
Brian, you are on center stage.
Hi, Brian. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I know that we got this hooked up for you a month ago, and I wanted to check in to see if you had a chance to look at your analytics, if you've seen anything unusual or how it's working for you.
I don't think I see anything unusual, but it seems to be working good.
Okay.
Able to
Have
see
you had
where
a chance?
people are coming from.
Okay. Have you learned anything about what's working or what's not working in your efforts?
I have not, no.
Okay. Okay. Were you surprised by the number of people coming to your site, either higher or lower than you thought?
I think it's lower than I thought it was.
Okay. Okay. It's always good to know what's really happening. Sometimes it's not good news, but the benefit of that is that now you have an idea of things that you can work on improving that and
Right.
driving it up. So, anything else you want to talk about with Google Analytics?
I did have a question.
I just learned on that behavior where you went over the site content. I didn't realize that was there, so thank you.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's the labels are a little bit strange. We're calling it behavior, but they're taking kind of the visitor's perspective, like how do they behave on your site, and so what do? They look at different site content. So that might give you an idea also about who's coming to your site. So if you go and look at that and everybody's going to the Medicare pages or everybody's going to long-term care, that will give you a sense of where you're being successful in driving traffic to your site right now.
Right.
Mike, did you have a comment?
Well, actually, we had a question that had come in about whether it mattered which browser somebody was using as far as setting up the Google Analytics.
As far as setting it up, it does not matter. It's designed to work with all the major browsers. People can turn off tracking, so if they have cookies disabled or JavaScript disabled, Google Analytics won't track them. But the vast majority of your visitors will be trackable regardless of what browser they're using. Any other questions coming in?
One other one. They wanted to know, once they see which search terms are getting the better results, if you could explain quickly how to add those to the site to get a better read off the search engine optimization.
Mm-hmm. So when I looked here at acquisition and I saw that one search phrase, here we'll go back here, organic search, I saw that Medigap Insurance Seattle had driven a visitor to my site. And then I went and found that phrase on the second page of Google. And if I decided that I wanted to really kind of prioritize this, I could make a couple changes to my site. One of which is, if I go back to my site here, and we have the Medicare supplement section, I don't have any pages called Medigap. Actually, I do have this one that's what is Medigap supplement, and so that's probably the page that they found. But I don't use the word Seattle anywhere in the title. And so my guess is if I added important information for Seattle residents, what is Medigap insurance, or if I just rework this title even just a little bit, that's going to help search engines identify that this page is really about Medigap insurance in Seattle and could move it up in the rankings. So the title of the page, making sure you're using the phrase that you're targeting there, making sure the phrase is being used on the page contents in a natural sort of way will help. And then if you can, getting other pages either on your site or elsewhere to link back to this page using that search phrase in the link. And so if you do those three things, if you're already showing up for the phrase, there's a pretty good chance that you'll see your site move up pretty quickly from where it's at right now. So I might find that if I put that phrase in the page title, and then even from the home page, if I link to this page, that might be just enough to tip my page from kind of the middle of the second page up maybe to the top of the second page or even the bottom of the first page for that phrase. Kind of nice to see my site showing up there, knowing that I haven't done any SEO work on it. And you might be surprised as well to see there's a couple phrases that you're getting traffic for that you didn't even realize your site was showing up for. Any more questions?
No, we do not. Let me double check real quick, but nope, no more electronic questions.
Okay.
So takes care of that.
Of course, I know you're all going to get this hooked up this month, and if you have any snags or any trouble or any questions about it, let us know, and we'll help you get going.
Do us all a favor, everybody out there, as you go through and do this, take a second on LinkedIn, which you should all be on, and shoot a note to the group just letting us know that you got it started. That way we know as it starts to build a little bit who's got what going on. If you're running into a snag or something, let us know. But, take allocate 15 minutes for yourself. I would think you'd be able to get it taken care of in that time frame. It'll be worth it, and it will pay off, and it will give us more things to talk about when we reach our next user group meeting in April. And with that said, I think we're going to move to the open forum, and this is really your part of the meeting that we've got. Actually, we do have one more thing that just came in, more technical stuff on SEO. Is there HTML coding that can be done for search engine optimization terms besides changing the text on the pages?
Well, HTML really defines the text on the pages, so that's kind of what you'd be doing with HTML. If you do want to get in and change the HTML on your page, you can. In our editor, view the source. There's a little, the very last button on the right side of the toolbar lets you see the source of the page. Unless you know what you're doing with HTML, I recommend not going there because it's really easy to break the page once you go into the code. But if you do know what you're doing and you're looking to make a specific change, that's where you'd go to do it.
Okay.
And whoever's asking that question, if you do have a more specific thing you're looking to do or hoping to change, feel free to contact me offline, and I'll help you figure it out.
Okay, great. All right, we're going to go ahead and unmute folks here and spend some time. This is going to be your portion of the program here, which is open forum. And so you can see some of the things that we want to know here. Feel free. I'll try to moderate as much as I can, but feel free. I'm going to go ahead and start unmuting folks here. Looks like some of you have moved on, but some are still with us. And we want to let you all talk with each other about what you're seeing, what you'd maybe some things you'd like to see. Additionally, Aaron has said this before. I know, don't get too hypnotized by search engine optimization because, trust me, if you're not doing the other things, if you're not communicating with folks and telling them about the website and continuing to reintroduce it out there, SEO isn't going to make so much of a difference that it's really going to be worth the time you're going to put in as far as fixation and such. So that said, everybody who's eligible to be unmuted has been unmuted. So let's go ahead and weigh in with some success stories, things that you're seeing out there that are working, things that maybe you'd like some help to get to work better, any challenges you might be having, things that you'd like us to bring to you for the next user group. In April, we are looking at April 9. That is, it's a little bit of a short distance compared to the norm because we had to move this one, but it would be April 9 at 9 a.m. Pacific as always. So that said, fire away. This is your time and your space.
Hey, Mike, this is Sean. I've got a technical question on the Google Analytics.
Okay, go ahead.
I meet with people, and like when I get presentations, I have an evaluation, which I use to get feedback on my presentation to refine it any further, but also to get people's contact information, principally their email. When I send a person an email, let's say they ask me a question about taxation on long-term care, a tax question, and I'll follow up with an email saying, I wrote an article on taxability, dealing with tax issues on long-term care insurance. take a look at my website and read that, and then I'll follow up with you in 2 weeks, something like that. Is there any way to tell if a specific email that I've sent, if a specific person has went to my website, or is it all just generic data?
Let me jump in and answer that. So when you send a link out, like if you just linked to the page on your site and somebody clicks through, you don't necessarily know who they are, their name. So you don't know if it was the person that you're talking to or if it was somebody else, just kind of by sharing that link. Now you can probably deduce a little bit. Like if you know what day you sent the email and where they're located, you can go and kind of filter down to see if there was a activity to that page that day. But that's still not going to be exact. There are a couple other things you can do that get a little more technical. You can put some tags in the link, and those tags can tell you data about the link beyond just what page they looked at. And then you can also use what's called a URL shortener. And if you go to goo.gl, this is the Google URL shortener. You can put a URL here and then shorten it, and it gives you a little kind of short code that you can then share. And what you can tell is then who clicked on that code. So if you wanted to share a link with somebody and you created this link using the shortener, you could tell when they clicked on that link because it would be unique to them. Does that kind of make sense of how that works?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a way to just to track by creating a link that just redirects to the page you're talking about. So if you wanted to know if somebody specifically clicked, this is a way to do it.
Okay, other questions? Again, this is your time. Looks like somebody sent one to us the good old-fashioned way here. They want to know about the blogs, whether it's Aaron, other members of the team, what the sourcing is on the blog information that we put out there.
It is not me. I can tell you that. The blog comes from a combination of Wes is working with our marketers to create a list of topics, and then we have a copywriter on our team named Devora who writes the blog posts generally, and then they go through an internal review to kind of get finalized before they're getting shared out.
Okay, there we go. Let me see if we got anything else on the old-fashioned way. Ron says thanks. That was Ron Lewis. So, all right, we got that handled. Anybody out there with any challenges we can help you with, things that you want to have us address by way of being able to learn as we go forward, anything like that at all?
This is Kim. Can I ask a question?
Sure, of course.
Yeah. Is anybody out there that is, well, most of us are associated with AIM, of course, but is there anybody out there that's also with Long-Term Care Financial Partners and has integrated this website with their website and their CRM?
Not that I know of. The two folks that we've had that were part of the program, Connected Agent Program, who have gravitated to LTCFP subsequent to enrolling in the program, elected to stay with FP's setup because it was just a choice that they made. It was something that they were already going to pay for through LTCFP anyway. So I don't think we have anybody that fits that description, do we, Aaron?
I don't think so. I know there are a few people from FP on the program.
Right.
But I'm not sure if they've integrated in with their CRM at all.
Okay. Well, I wanted to use their CRM because it's so robust. My problem is I got leads, but the leads went to their spam filter, and so that wasn't very successful. And I'm wondering, and then I did ask a question the old-fashioned way. I need to have a tech work with me to integrate my email because for some reason, I guess each browser has a default email, and the LTCFP system is still the it's the Microsoft Outlook, which I guess originated with Internet Explorer. But every time I try to set up another website or another system, it seems like that's always the default email. So it doesn't look good, that it's because I don't want to send an email for leads I'd get off of this website or another website and have the email come in from LTCFP, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of need some tech work.
Right. I had already
help me separate those up.
Yeah, the tech guys are going to call you off once we get done with the call.
Okay, great. All right. Well, I'll be quiet and let somebody else talk.
It's in motion. The wheels are in motion.
Wheels are in motion, exactly. So, all right, anybody else out there with stuff we can help you with, questions you might have, additional things that we might want to cover next time down the road?
Mike, this is Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hey, I just wanted to first of all, make a comment. I want more on Google Analytics because, I don't really know what I'm doing, but what little I have been introduced to, I am seeing a direct relationship between making the effort to share something on LinkedIn or one of those things, or putting something out on Twitter, and a jump in new visits to my website. Never having used Google Analytics before, never having done that, I was just like, wow. So yes, it does work. Now I have to figure out my thing that I'm thinking is, and I think everybody, is that we need to figure out why we're doing something and then how to analyze the data, because I don't really understand yet what it what to do with the data there in Google Analytics. So I think if we just continually do something on Google Analytics and train everybody how to use it better so that it's meaningful and so that we can make a decision based on what we're seeing, that's kind of where I'm going with that. The other thing is that, I see people that have newsletters all the time on websites where you can opt into a newsletter. I'm wondering if that's been discussed, doing something like that where you can put on the website, opt into my newsletter, and you capture their email address, and then you start sending out a regular newsletter to a group of, an email list.
The idea of providing a newsletter feature is definitely something where it's on the table for us. As I'm sure you can imagine, it's a pretty big undertaking to do, and so it's going to be quite a bit of work on our end to be able to support that. You actually can, if you have the.
I have a newsletter I've put together from another source, but I don't have any idea how to offer that on my website.
If you have the content, which is the hard part, what you can do, I think we mentioned this a few group calls ago, there's a service called MailChimp that,
yes.
that I like because it's free up to 2,000 people in your mailing list. And so you can go sign up for MailChimp, and they'll actually give you a little subscription widget you can add to your website. And once you have your MailChimp account set up, you'll get that widget and let us know if you want some help getting it put on your website somewhere.
Okay, well that's okay. Then I'll talk to you offline about that, because I did sign up for MailChimp, but now I'm kind of going, now what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely contact us offline, and we'll help you get that tied together.
Great.
You already have the content.
Awesome.
We can put the rest of it together pretty quickly for you.
Cool.
Great. Good question, Bonnie. Thank you. All right. Anybody else out there with things they'd like to cover, ideas, things that they would like to see us bring forth in upcoming user group meetings? Sounds like somebody's out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Kim. I said I'd be quiet, but you can't hardly keep me quiet. What are we doing about lead generation? I mean, for instance, in my other world, I'm also a real estate agent. In my other world, I'm using Google AdWorks to generate leads, and also using Craigslist to generate leads to my website. What are we doing about trying to generate leads to this website?
Let me ask you some questions. The AdWords program that you're doing with real estate, are you paying for that? Is somebody else paying for it?
Well, no, I'm paying for the website, but the only thing I have to pay for the Google AdWorks is I have to. You put like $100 in there, and then every time you get a click, a lead that goes there, their lead capture page, of course, captures their name and phone number that you can follow up with. But that's a certain amount. Let's say it's $1. So you get 100 clicks, and then you have to put money back on the service. But that's pretty reasonable, I would think, in lead capture.
What I'll tell you, knowing quite a bit about this, if you look at where Google's revenue comes from, Google makes billions of dollars. Most profitable company ever invented. The majority, I think it's like 35 or 40% of the revenue comes from the insurance industry. They are making a lot of money, and what that means is that it's a very competitive space. It's the most competitive space to advertise on Google. And so where you might see real estate clicks costing $1 or $2, you're going to see them cost $10 to $20 per click in the insurance world. And so what that means is it's a fairly significant investment undertaking to really drive significant traffic through pay-per-click ads, especially in our world with like long-term care insurance. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but my recommendation is that you have a budget of a couple $1,000s a month to start with.
Whoa.
So yeah, that's why we're not
So are you saying that if I put a whole bunch of keywords like Puget Sound Insurance Forum, or Puget Sound Long-Term Care, put a whole bunch of stuff that if someone was at all trying to shop for some insurance product and they would click that I couldn't, for a fairly reasonable charge, get my website to show as one of the top 5 or 6?
Depends what you mean by reasonable.
But a couple dollars.
Yeah, but probably not. It's going to be more difficult. It doesn't mean you can't find some ways to do it, but it is a different market than real estate. It's a different industry. The costs are different. It's significantly more expensive. And so that's why we're not really steering people toward that as the first sort of line of new leads. We think that social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, in terms of the source of traffic, is much more cost-effective than pay-per-click advertising. And that's kind of why we keep driving people towards sharing content on LinkedIn, for example, as a way to get traffic.
Okay. Well, I'm getting back to here. I've been gone for a couple months, as I said on the thing, but I haven't heard anybody share any success stories, as in, are they getting 10 leads a month, getting 100 leads a month, and are those 10 leads good leads? Are they converting 2 out of 10? I mean, I guess I kind of want to hear that, because if the social media is successful, and that's the way we should be spending our time, then I want to know from the other users, are they getting those kinds of results? If we're not, then maybe we should try to go a different direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you, and we don't have the data on our end. So we're trying to first get, some of us are doing it, some of us aren't, and so we're trying to get everybody to do it.
Aaron, I have a comment. This is Bonnie again.
Yeah.
So I have something to share in regards to what the gentleman was just talking about. I had been bulking on spending time putting together my email list just because it takes a blasted amount of time to make sure you got it together right and that you got a good email list and everything, but I've gone ahead and devoted the time to really putting together a good email list. I started, and so last week, I started sending out the critical illness ebook to that email list, and lo and behold, actually somebody, I also do networking in Spokane and go to network groups and things, and so one of the people that I gathered, whose business card I had gathered and had sent out that offer for the critical illness book, emailed me back and said, thank you so much for sharing that information, and it was nice to meet you at the networking group. And yesterday I met with her and and approached her on sitting down with her and her husband, and so that is now going to happen. And it's a direct, and so I can say, because I took the effort to go out into the community, meet somebody, get their business card, and then email them a follow-up with something of value, it did turn into an actual appointment, which is then I'm hoping that, and I'm pretty confident that I'll be writing some business. I think for me it just takes time.
Well, what you said a second ago, Bonnie, 4 key words that we've sort of delicately danced around for a while here. You took the effort. Effort leads to things that happen down the road, okay? And that comes with a commitment to, or it's a part of the commitment that you've got to making this thing work, all right? And in terms of sort of answering the question that Kim had, I'm not sure that we're getting the broader-based effort across a group of nearly 100 people that are in the program now on some of the things that we're talking about, to where we really have a valid sample size to look at this and really make determinations, yes, no, maybe so. Along the way, we've got some really, really good people on the technical end of this team that are here to help. But if the ideas that we're putting out, if they're not being executed, if people aren't taking or making that effort, it's going to be really difficult for us to continue to make anything sort of an informed decision about how these things are going. And if it is happening, people aren't sharing their stories, which we're making that opportunity available here. So anyway, a little editorial comment there. I'm done. Any other questions folks have here? Okay. I'm going to take that as everybody has kind of finished up. We do appreciate, so we're going to wrap up here. Appreciate the time of everybody on the team, Travis, Wes, and Aaron. Really appreciate what you got going on. If you have technical issues that you want help with, shoot me an email, mike.anderson@yaim.com, and I'll get one of the tech guys to get in contact with you, see if they can help you out with it and get moving forward. Again, folks, the next user group meeting, April 9, that's a Wednesday, of course, 9 a.m. We'll get material out to you by way of invitation and that sort of stuff here relatively shortly, because we have a little bit of a shorter distance between the two that we normally do. So unless we have any last questions, we're going to go ahead and close this one out. We get the archived version of this over to Travis, and he'll get it posted on our website and make it available to everybody through LinkedIn as well. So, any last questions?
Thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you, everybody, for your time here. We're going to go ahead and shut this down, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks, folks.
Yeah, thank you.